Please tell me.
Do I look like Dorside to you?
I said that out loud.
No, I'm glad I could hold that over you now.
I didn't say a word. I don't feel that.
Please tell me that there's cardboard dough in that hat.
Ice.
Baby. Oh, I'm gonna get a sunburn from these lights, aren't I?
Only the top of your head.
That's only one of the few things that Dragor has to worry about.
That is my
Besides
anime moment
skin-tight
in real
suits.
life. If I tilt my head just right, the bright lens flare, and the sound actually happens. If you listen closely.
I can use this as a
Barrett
visual
is
aid
on the
for
way
a
to put
horror
his
story.
glasses
Well, not
in
really a
the
horror
bottles.
story.
I just didn't realize I should have taken the bottles from him while I went to get this.
Probably.
So you're saying you left Alkali alone with Kage's wine?
His fault, not mine.
This is not going to end
Okay,
well.
all I know is that I got up at 3:30 a.m. today in order to attempt to get here before 4 p.m. And I was successful, but in order to do so, I had to forego having anything but airline pretzels, and the airlines don't serve any wine except Chardonnay. Now, I don't know about you, but I would rather tear my skin off and roll around in salt than drink a glass of Chardonnay. So I'm waiting for Alkali.
Well, while you're waiting, we both know Xander.
Yeah, we know Xander.
And Xander doesn't do anything regular.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Running around.
So Xander tells Alkali, "Happy birthday. I killed one of the Koch brothers for you."
He didn't say that in a public forum, did he?
No.
Good. So one of the Koch brothers is dead?
Yeah, I think they just finally ran out of
That? Wow. So people are just going to have to drink Pepsi now.
Good. Capitalist corporatist boo.
Kage, I'm sure you're starving. If I go get you food,
I just ate. Thank you very much.
Damn it.
They fed me
There
backstage.
y'all are.
They fed me food backstage.
First got the bar tried to tell me.
Alkali was blessed.
What?
The bar tried to tell me that I couldn't take wine glasses.
Excuse me. Did you pay them for them?
It's in my pocket because the back of the thing fell off.
Wait, so instead of mics, we have these things?
Yes,
That's cool.
but that also means
This is
there's
And where's the
Wait, are they gonna hear everything?
everything. Oh my god.
ASMR.
Amy hates you right now.
Corkscrew.
Love you, Amy.
Oh no.
Hey, do you want to smell my date?
Story hour?
Okay.
The thing is, Kage hasn't gotten laid yet.
I need work money.
What? Kage hasn't gotten laid yet.
Shut up, I got stuff I'm talking about here.
What the hell?
I'm going to tell you about a fursuiter that was many years ago sitting in the lobby looking unwell. Thank you very much. Looking unwell.
There,
And I went up and I,
Kage.
excuse me, I'm talking. I went up and I said to him, "Are you doing okay?" And he didn't seem to have a lot of energy. He said, I'm feeling very overheated. And I said, "Well, can I help you get to your room?" He said, "No, I could use some water." But this is in the early days. We didn't have fursuit straws. We didn't have a fursuit lounge. So I had a bright idea. I said, "Okay, I'll go to the bar and I'll get a piece of ice. And what I'll do is we'll kind of like toss it in your mouth and you can suck on the ice. That'll both cool you down and it will help you get some water. That'll at least get you so you can get on your feet." He said, "Good idea." So I went to the bar and I got a big ice cube. And I went to the first, so I said, "Okay, open your mouth," and muzzle it, open it up. So I kind of slam dunked it in there. And the thing is, I was always really bad at basketball. And I saw the ice cube hit here and go down.
Oh.
That was how I invented the fursuit dance competition.
True story.
Very true story. Always poured the label up.
Always put, oh, is that a rule now?
Mm-hmm. Ever since I watched Agadetsu.
I've not seen that yet. Is it?
What?
What?
Yes, you have to see it. You have to see it. You watch Agadetsu, and I say, okay.
And And that's how we died.
So
And that's how our
Cosmo likes heavy
insurance
metal.
went up.
Awesome.
I forgot.
Hate alkali.
No, there we go. This is perfect. Excellent.
Alkali. A couple of years ago, we held Indy 500.
Yes, we did.
What was the insurance rate on those cars and why was it that high?
If you bring a Ferrari into a hotel, you must insure said Ferrari. And if you work with a mom and pop insurance place who has known you for multiple years, they stop asking questions after, what is furry? They did not ask questions when I said I needed to insure $250,000 of cars that were going to be in our hotel. I got a ridiculously expensive insurance policy, took it home and started reading through the 100+ pages. Where I found at about the quarter-way point that they in fact did not insure 2 showcase cars to sit in our lobby. What they did insure was us racing Ferraris through this particular hotel.
And you see, the part I like is the fact that they didn't even bat an eyelash. Oh, that's something Alkali would do.
No. In fact, if I remember correctly, I think all they said is, you won't have a bounce castle, right? I'm like, no. They're like, fine.
Racing Ferraris to the hotel, great. Just don't have a bounce castle. And thank God you never had a bounce castle.
Never!
Yay!
Great.
This guy.
Okay.
Anyway, so tell us about the bounce castle, Alkali.
Why don't we let Nikki tell you about the bounce castle? Nikki! Remember the bounce castle?
Nope.
I just said, that wasn't a
I
swear.
remember somebody coming
Oh,
in
we're not
ops and
on
mentioning
Yeah,
something about
We're not
a
talking about
bounce castle behind the main stage. I was like,
Does read that for that?
bounce castle? No way, I gotta go see this.
I believe a member of staff thought it would be a fun idea for the staff to have a bounce castle behind main events.
Yes.
Because there's still a fair bit back there that is...
And I didn't think about the insurance stuff. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's go check this out.
So I walked back there and I saw the bounce castle
Yep.
and immediately went...
And then we went back to ops.
Alkali, could you come
Oh,
to
yeah.
back of main
Yep.
events? This is Alkali. Why am I going to back of main events? Just come to back of main event. And then I got to see the face.
Yep.
This was the thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Now it is very funny. Then my face was, oh my God, and this is 100% true, our insurance policy has been nullified.
And that's true.
Yeah.
That it is, you guys don't realize it, a convention event insurance has a specific clause. If you bring a bounce castle in, this policy is void.
That's it. So yeah, it wasn't that funny that year, Des! Next year, hysterical.
You know what's really funny is giving conchairs heart attacks.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Oh yeah. So we had all that debacle with the Ferraris. And then we thought it'd be really funny if we played a prank on our conchair does the next year.
You shouldn't do that.
You don't remember
to the
that?
chairman at the con.
I approved it.
It's not a nice
I also
thing to
approved
do.
It's not
So
a nice
we made up,
thing to do,
we
but
made up a great invoice. We put Ferrari on the top. We made a whole big deal. They had already coned off some parking spots. The hotel did. Everything was great, and then our car guy comes in.
oh, don't forget the
with a dolly.
pictures. Don't
Oh,
forget the
yep,
pictures.
there were pictures.
Two
There were
pictures of two very fancy, very clean-looking Ferraris sitting out on the street.
Yep. And then we get Des to ops because he had to sign some insurance forms for it, and come walking in with a dolly with a little teeny tiny Matchbox car on it. I think he was having 15 heart attacks until that point, and then he was just really bad.
Oh no, there was 10 seconds where he looked at the dolly, looked at you, looked at the dolly, looked at the charity lead, looked at the dolly, looked at me and said, a word that I cannot say on this list.
The
Please
I know it!
do not okay. Don't pull practical jokes on the chairman at the convention. Someone's liable to die before the punchline gets dropped.
Yeah.
I have since learned that.
Yes. I have posted a couple of years a graph. I'm a scientist. Scientists like to plot things. And I have a graph that shows, from your direction, it is a plot of the time to the convention, and it's my sense of humor going down here,
Yeah.
and then the stress level going up here. The point where those two lines cross is called the Travis point. It's named after a chimpanzee who famously bit the face off a woman. So that's the Travis point. For me, it's usually about 5 days before the convention, or when somebody interrupts when I'm fucking talking. Shut up! I shouldn't say that. Okay, you can interrupt me when I finish this class. I got a hard morning.
So, guys,
At my age,
I think it's time.
You're never
If you don't know, this is Convention War Stories. We have a few traditions and or rules of this panel. 1, no story of less than 2 years will be told up here unless we have permission from everyone. We just don't want you guys to know who we're talking about. And 2, to be on this panel, you must be a con chair or must have been in the past. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have an empty seat. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce you to somebody who became eligible for this just a few months ago. Guys, give it up for the con chair for First Square Dragon!
He just challenged you to a duel.
I've got this.
blow job this early.
What, I blew his finger.
I'll be the judge of that.
so let me see your chairman fingers.
What?
No, he had had it right there.
No, I need to see your chairman fingers. Have you developed them yet?
Yeah, he's new, dude.
I'm
Okay.
fresh at this. I have a lot of.
Okay, everybody, who's the chairman? Show us your chairman fingers. These are the chairman. You notice every chairman has his own unique chairman fingers.
Mine is right in here.
Oh, good, that's good.
Yeah, no, he's got the eye.
Those are good chairman fingers, yeah.
Those things when they
Yeah.
twitch and they don't stop, and you want to get a power drill to make them stop.
Yeah, every chairman has unique chairman fingers. Sven, take it off. In Germany, he
Yes,
goes
he's
right
up
across
here.
the eyes.
What was?
I think the Lake Takaze
Yeah.
did this one. The chairman of the convention in Newark, his are like that. But what?
Nikki, I didn't get to see your chairman
No,
fingers.
I've had like 5 of them this week.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
I don't know, I haven't developed it yet. but
Nikki,
they're-
that's it, those are them, right there.
I have watched Nikki slowly move from starting the con here, going to here, going to here, going back here. It's just less arm every time. Also, I'm wearing this now.
Why?
Because the back of my hand looks really weird because my hands are skinny and the rest of me is fat.
You look like a murderer.
Gene.
I look like a murderer.
Oh, black in the glove?
No,
That
Glove is big.
I
Yes.
don't know what you said, but now I'm going to say I'm doing it to not get fingerprints on this glass.
it's totally Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, because he has the one black hand with the glove on it.
I'm not cool enough to be Skywalker about it.
This is my robotic hand. Want to feel it?
This is gross.
Not
Do you
easy.
suppose, okay, which hand do you think Luke, was it?
The robotic one,
Like
it's
he
got a
used his
Kung Fu grip.
Okay, just one. I'm sorry, we're talking about con horror stories. I say Des goes first.
Sometimes.
Hold on, we just started the battle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Convention Horror Stories!
I love the picture
Really
there,
quick,
by the way.
starting over here, your convention chair for IFC, Nikki! Former IFC convention chair dear God, ladies and gentlemen, Lord Pandas! His first year as chairman for First Squared, board of directors of multiple kinds, a volunteer for as long as I've known him. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dragor! And this guy started the furry fandom. Years ago.
And this guy started a convention after I told him, don't do
Yes,
it!
I did. I'm almost glad I didn't listen to you. Almost. Now, for our first story, back to Lord Pandas. Sorry about that.
So, sometimes things happen, and we have to do this thing where we create a code of conduct.
Oh, shit.
Where you guys have to go, okay, we promise we won't do A, B, C, D, etc. over the weekend. And sometimes, at the event, something happens that is not in the code of conduct, and you have to then add it for the next year. This is breaking the 2-year rule, but I don't care. So at Motor City FurCon this year,
You're breaking the code of conduct for the panel.
Oh, wait, unless everybody agrees.
They posted this.
What?
We weren't looking.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's up there now.
Okay, unless everybody agrees. I agree. You agree? Yes, he agrees.
I agree.
Alkali agrees. Okay, go for it, Pandas.
okay, so at Motor City FurCon this year, we moved to a new hotel. It's very, very nice. They have this wonderful water feature in the hotel lobby. This wonderful fountain. It's a very nice fountain, and we were all like, hey, don't try to mess with the fountain. Don't touch the fountain. Like if you drink from the magical fountain, it will negate your powers of attendeeship. The hotel specifically
And the
asked
snake
us.
comes up and says, but if you drink from it, you'll be chairman.
And some people want that.
So like we didn't actually put it in the code of conduct this way. We were just like, hey, by the way, don't mess with fountain. The hotel reached out to us after the convention and asked if we could specifically put something in our code of conduct for the following year. Please do not drink from the water feature in the lobby. Apparently, people didn't want to use the coolers of nice chilled water against the wall. They were taking cups, walking to the fountain and going,
That's a whole...
No!
Did you remember the episode of The Simpsons when they're in the park and Bart told Lisa, I dare you to drink from the water?
I am the queen! Yes! Good memory. Fountains and water features have a special place in convention history. We're going to jump out of the furry fandom for a quick one right now. Who knows what Gen Con is?
Yeah!
Who knows where Gen Con started? Where? I'm sorry, I slurred a little bit. Who knows where, the location? Does anyone know?
Nope.
Galena. I'm sorry, not Galena. You're right. Geneva, not Galena. Thank you. Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. The location where this took place had a beautiful wishing fountain in front of the hotel. Basically, think of it like a quad. 3 sides hotel, beautiful, large fountain. To this day, I do not know if it was dishwashing detergent, laundry detergent, or bubble bath. All I know is was a lot of it. That quad, closed in on 3 sides, was filled with bubbles. And that convention... Oh my God. No, you knew that song. Yeah, you... Sorry. Guys, that convention moved locations. Fortunately. It's funny now. It's not funny when it happens. Please don't give us more material. We're fine.
Conventions and water seem to have... They go together like
puppies and fire ants?
Yeah. There are some things that you think you shouldn't have to tell people. Like if you have a fursuit and you want to hang it up to dry,
oh God,
that thing that's sticking out of the wall near the ceiling in your hotel room is not something to hang the fursuit on.
Oh
Because it's called in English a sprinkler, which is a misnomer.
no. It's a douser.
It is designed to deliver a very large quantity of water to extinguish a room fire. It should more appropriately be called the lashing gusher of doom. And if you hang a fursuit on it and you break the sprinkler head, the lashing gusher of doom will basically scour all the plaster off the ceiling, drill through the floor, and flood everything beneath it.
I would like to remind anyone in this room, or for some reason thinks that sounds funny and or fun.
It's not.
Kage, about how often do they purge that system?
They're supposed to purge it.
There you go, guys. That is stagnant water, possibly from when the hotel was created. It starts off brown. Anyone still think it's funny? Don't answer that.
It starts off brown and it turns black.
It's also very expensive, and we and the hotel will come after you for the money.
Take more wine and driving to
I'm now envisioning
Oh, hi.
if I were to ever see one of those late night commercials,
That looks
just
like
Kage appearing on it. It's like, do you know such and such? We're looking to get a lot of money from him, just at like 3 a.m.
I contemplated that. By the way, do you know the first known fan convention where that happened?
No, I do not.
I believe it was called Disclave, and it was in the Washington, D.C. area. And the convention attendees, the strange thing was they were police officers. And they were not fursuiters. Disclave, and somebody correct me if I've got the name wrong, or did they become Disclave? They had, one of their panels was I cannot remember the Japanese word for it, but it's a Japanese suspension bondage technique. Thank you. Oh, you knew that. Great. Okay.
What's your room number?
Yeah. Well, these two cops thought that sounded cool, so they thought they'd try it. Gee, where should we? Oh, how about that thing? Yeah, they were the first known flood, and Disclave not only had to move, but they had to change their name because nobody would touch them.
Well, Dragor, my demon friend,
Hi.
you may have only started being conchair, but you've been part of the behind-the-scenes furry fandom now for quite some time. Do you have anything you would like to tell us? An occurrence that happened, possibly at a con that definitely wasn't mine?
Yeah. So,
Really?
so once in a while, so for those of you who don't know, for a long, long time, I would not even show up on stage outside of one of my very clingy spandex suits. And they're really remarkable, and they're fun, and I love them. And due to those suits, I forget if it was Anthrocon, where I made my first Dorsai entry, where the basic question was, is that person allowed to wear that? And the answer was yes. But that topic occasionally comes up. So years later, at First Squared, the leader of the Dorsai, Rennie, comes and finds me and has this big old grin, which means trouble for me. And I'm like, Rennie, is there an incident? He goes, yes. I'm like, does it require my attention? He goes, oh yes. And I come with him and he gives me the lowdown. Someone has made a complaint about another person wearing one of these full body suits. And it was now my job to de-escalate the person making the complaint because I was still running around in those suits that weekend.
Yep, that's a group.
I essentially had to do the reverse and go, I understand your complaint, but I'm sorry, this is going to keep happening all weekend.
I'm sorry, I saw what you did. It wasn't a one finger. You flourished. This is happening! And the person made it look like this. Okay? It is wonderful. Some people forget that the Dorsai regulars, the security teams at these conventions, like, yes, they are here to make sure everyone has a fun and safe time. And sometimes, unfortunately, they do need to be the bad guys. But they're just one of us. They're just members of the convention, and that was proven at First Squared when the con chairman at the time, whoever that might be, had a room party.
Well, that never happens.
Never. So I was having a room party, and I heard he went to the door, and he came back a minute later. He's like, "Don't worry, no problem." I'm like, "Oh, okay." 5 minutes later, every Dorsai at the entire con was standing outside of my room with the biggest shit-eating grins. They had come up to shut down the party, found out it was mine, went back downstairs, rounded up all the Dorsai, and they were all present to shut down the convention chair's room party for, I quote, gross negligence in regards to volume control.
Alkali? Say it's not so.
I couldn't believe it either.
I should like to hear from the lady at the end.
Yes,
Actually, just because I have a good Dorsai story.
Perfect.
They are, as he said, one of us, and we enjoy hanging out with them all weekend.
Oh, yeah.
They're usually in ops with us. We had to change it a little bit this year with layout. But last year, we were all hanging around, having a good time. And one of my staff members was sitting there, again, winding down a little bit. I think it was Friday. And he goes, before I say this, there are words that you just don't say when you're at con.
Yeah.
There are specific words. One of them starts with a Q.
Quick.
So without any hesitation,
Never talk about
Talk about quiche.
without any hesitation, one of my ops staff members goes, "You know, it's pretty."
Quiet.
Thank you. No, he can say it. We can't.
Yes. As the last syllable left his mouth, the smoke alarms went off, and the hotel was evacuated. The Dorsai don't like him very much.
Speaking of which, okay, this wasn't 2 years ago, this was this year.
We're all very bad at this.
Okay, we seem to have some difficulty with fire alarms going off at conventions. Frequently it's caused by people smoking and or vaping when we tell them not to.
Correct.
This year, at Entricon,
Don't forget where the microphones are.
this
I've been
year,
doing that all day. I've been doing that all day.
the Omni William Penn by number 4 hotel, of 11,
Dear God.
was evacuated because of an alarm that was struck. And it turned out that a bunch of people were, I think you call it hotboxing in a room. The difference here is I know who rented that room. And I told the manager of the hotel, please tell this person the chairman would like to have a word. This person didn't come to see me. So I sent an email recently saying we missed each other. I understand I'm very, very busy. I hope you didn't come looking for me, but I would very much like to discuss this, and I haven't heard back. So now I'm asking myself, what should I do?
Confiscate his meeting and give him telephone.
Do you need a hammer?
Well, the thing is, my mind is just full of ideas.
That is a terrifying
None of them
thought.
are 100% legal in my country. But I just came back from Germany and they gave me suggestions. And it's like, really? Do you guys do that here? How did you lose the war? My God.
As a Jew, I'm terrified.
Oh, man. You know what they do?
Stop.
What's that?
They hold people accountable?
Yes!
Nice.
What a concept.
Well, that person, I'll be having a word eventually.
We had a hotboxing incident. I love that that's a type of incident now, but it is. Here's the reason why that's a type of incident that we need to worry about, and it's because the furry fandom is way more filled with engineers than I ever thought it could be.
Oh, is this about the stripper pole?
No, the stripper pole is a whole different incident. Thanks for reminding me of that. You're a sweetheart.
You're welcome.
Well,
Just the one with the vacuum, isn't it?
Well, right after Halloween at a store called Spirit, you can find, good, some people know what Spirit is. Spirit is a store that takes over abandoned buildings for about 2 months and 2 weeks after Halloween. At the end of their time there, they usually put most of the store on sale. And this engineer wannabe had purchased a fog machine.
Oh no.
I was retrieved during one of my panels by the hotel liaison. He took me upstairs, and as the elevator doors opened on 3, it was like the best version of The Shining. Because all the smoke that had coalesced inside the elevator just flowed into the elevator. It just kind of collapsed in, and I went, I don't care anymore. We went to these... Go ahead.
2 little girls there saying, come and play with us, Alkaline.
And they're just holding a can of Bliss, just a whole can of Bliss for myself. So, oh no, we don't.
We do. I'm choosing not to react.
So I go down to this room. Just so you know, and don't use this as advice, but if you're going to do it right. It is not a towel under the door. It is a wet towel under the door to stop the smoke from getting out.
Why are you telling them how to
If they're going to do it, they might as well do it right. Well,
Seriously, but don't.
yeah, seriously, don't.
Please. Smoke sensors are particulate sensors. Any fog, smoke, vape is particles. You will set it off, and we'll come looking for you.
Well, Sam, I don't know if I ever told you. Did you ever notice how I don't talk about the fire alarm going off in that room? All that stuff that you would think hotboxing would happen. Do you know why the fire alarm didn't go off in that room?
Don't give them ideas.
They couldn't reproduce it.
Smoke
Oh, I'm sorry.
machines
You
Do
couldn't
not challenge them.
These are furries.
Someone originally said you can't put that many mascots together in a room, and then furry happened.
Somebody said you can't have that many people sleeping in a hotel room, and then furry.
To be fair, they weren't sleeping.
Okay.
That was great, Drago.
When you had 2 in the bathtub, 2 on the floor of the bathroom, 1 sleeping under the credenza, 1 under each bed.
You get credentials.
You are giving them ideas.
I got it classy.
This panel is this is called Bad Idea Panel. Don't do this stuff.
Let's get back on topic.
Making chairman cry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't
easy.
wanna cry.
That's really
I take that back.
That's
I want to cry
charity.
for charity money.
Yeah, charity money we
I don't
can
want to
cry
cry for
for.
this stuff. Don't make
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
You're so polite and so damnably Canadian all the time. There must be something
heck with
that
you.
pissed you off.
To heck with you.
Something
Language, Jen.
had to have pissed you off, buddy.
Sorry, what now? What? Yes.
What was that moment in a FurCon where you were at your wit's end? Where something so horrible had happened that maybe even the hotel liaison had to step in and take care of it, possibly with a fraternity. I don't know if I'm asking him specific enough.
Oh, I think I know which one you're referring to.
No.
I believe we are referring to the very first year we ran Mistake.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that. Anyway,
Was that 2012?
that would have been our first year at the Sheraton. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Was that our first year?
that was, yes.
Oh, wow.
Because
That was a bad year.
that was Battlefield Earth.
You're right. You are totally right.
Thanks.
Anytime.
Anyway, so we were at the Sheraton, wonderful hotel. It was fantastic. Upgrade from the Hilton that we had been at the previous 2 years. And we were sharing not event space, but the hotel with another group. They had event space on the one side of the hotel, we had event space on the other side. But we shared kind of the lobby and the elevators with them. They were a fraternity group. Sometimes groups don't always get along with each other. And it's fine if it's like, I'm going to ignore you because I don't want anything to do with you. Fine, that's how you want to be, whatever. They were being, the first were just like, whatever, you're not part of our group, we're going to do our own thing. The other group was, oh, you're not part of our group, we're going to pick on you. Let's pick on the furries. And we got reports trickling in over the weekend of various incidents happened, people like bragging on the furries in different places, but it culminated when one particular fur was trying to get on the elevator to go downstairs, and some of the frat boys were in there, and they were like, nope, sorry, you can't get on this elevator. They're like, I'm just trying to go downstairs, there's plenty of room. They're like, nope, you can't come on. And as the doors are closing, they yelled the iconic statement, "You ain't Rosa Parks, you're not getting on this bus."
That is the proper reaction. Yeah.
No, your reaction.
So the board convened and went, we need to speak to our hotel liaison and see what can be done, because this is, we're here now. We were like, no. So we called in our hotel liaison, Tanya. Remember Tanya?
I love
She was adorable.
Tanya was a sweetheart.
She was a very, skinny, happy African-American lady.
Yeah.
So we're telling the story to her, and we're like, okay, it was this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and then we get to the last story, and we're like, and then the last part, you ain't Rosa Parks, you're not getting on this bus. And I need to stand to accurately represent what happened, because she was like, oh, hell no! And then she was gone. She became a furry because she turned into the Roadrunner. It was Todd, our head of finance at the time, was like, no. He thought for like an eighth of a second, maybe I can stop. Nope, not gonna happen. Within about 20 minutes, there were signs everywhere for the fraternity members to meet in their ballroom at blank o'clock, whatever the next hour was, all of them immediately. We had no more, let me phrase this correctly, we had no more negative,
No, that's good.
we had no more negative issues with that group for the rest of the weekend. I won't say there were not still interactions.
The interactions turned positive after all.
Very
They
positive.
did. You were there. You
Yes,
recall
he was.
this.
Would Kage like to tell us his role in this?
Well, let's do the lead-in.
Oh, you have lead-in. Go ahead.
Let's do the lead-in.
Yes.
So, apparently, down in the lobby, there was this really, really big stone table, which is very nice. And on one side, a bunch of the frat boys were all kind of sitting there. And a couple of the furries came down in fursuit, about 3 or 4 fursuiters were down there. And the frat boys were like, hey, come on over. Have a drink with us.
That's a mistake.
You don't ask furries to drink with you, your booze will be gone. So they were like, okay, sure. So peace offering. Offering? I've been drinking Diet Dr. Pepper, I swear. Okay, great, everything's fine. They're talking, and all of a sudden, frat boys, they like to chant, so they're like, take it off, take it off, take it. Their fursuit heads. Take off the fursuit head. Fursuit's like, okay, here we go.
Yay! They all exploded when they took it off.
You took off the fursuit head. And the fursuiters were like, put them on, put them on, put them on. So they passed the fursuit head, and the fursuiter heads are on the frat boys, and the fursuiters are like body down, and it's like, they're drinking, they're having a good time. More fursuiters and other furries are coming up, more frat boys are coming up. Now, I did not get to witness this except for on YouTube, which if you look, never mind.
Don't YouTube it.
Totally don't YouTube furry frat boy indie FurCon 2012. Anyway, everything was going great. They were chanting and drinking, and everything was fine. And then the esteemed Dr. Conway was there. Would you like to tell?
Actually, you have the order incorrect.
Oh,
My role was first.
oh,
And the fursuits came later. Because the ice, I did the breaking of the ice. because the frat boys were sitting there kind of grumbling a little bit, and they had this big silver bowl, punch bowl thing, and it had a bunch of alcohol in it.
Like that.
And yeah, just like that. And the frat boys, I was kind of standing in the distance. Frat boys, they're all taking these little sips, going, oh, look at us, we're big, we're drinking, look how adult we are. And I was watching this, and I thought, that's just totally adorable. And I watched it for a bit, and I wandered up, and I was just kind of standing over their shoulders. And it took them a moment to realize there's a funky old man standing behind us here. They stopped talking, they turned, they looked at me, and I looked at them. I said, excuse me. Amateurs.
I was there to see it. It was not just amateurs. You drank their booze, made sure your lab coat was fully extended with a flourish, wiped the back of your mouth and flicked it to the side like a champion, and turned around and loudly proclaiming, amateurs, stood on the escalator without moving, turned around and assumed the captain's pose, riding it into oblivion. And I have never been more proud of my friend. And then...
the thing to do.
It seemed like the right thing to do. And then...
So, again, I was not there to see this because a mistake happened. The first mistake.
That was good.
The biggest.
But Todd was there at the end. You see, we were in mistake, and this was on the second level, and the lobby was down on the first level, and there's a little balcony right by the escalator where you could peer over and look into the lobby. And we got out of mistake, and Todd walks out, and he's like, okay, maybe I'm going to head back to my room, and then he hears from the lobby a chant of hundreds of people, drink mother blanker, drink mother blanker, drink mother blanker, drink.
You can hear it all the way up to the fourth floor through the elevator shaft.
We could hear it through the door-side security radios.
So he goes, oh, what is this happening? And makes his way over to the balcony and is like, no. And he sees that it's furries, and he sees that it's frat boys, but they're drinking together, and he is confused / excited / confused. And
Somebody brought the video. I recognize that sound.
Oh! Thank you, Amy.
It's gone.
anyway, no, let's not play that right now. You can have it paused on the screen. So he is looking over the balcony, and he sees one of the door side, our head of the door side,
Yep.
Remy.
It was Remy.
Is on the balcony on the other side across the stairs, also looking down. Catches Remy's attention. And he looks down,
Oh, good. It was the bottle, not your wrist.
and he points. And Todd looks where he's pointing. And there are the two people running the front desk, laughing, smiling, and taking pictures of what's happening. He gets their attention. I know, right? And they're like... So he actually was like, he walked downstairs and talked to them and was like, are you sure hundreds of people in the lobby chanting and drinking is fine? And they just said, this is the first time they've gotten along all weekend, let them drink.
I do appreciate it. I love you guys so much, because sometimes furries know better than I do. I did walk past that table, and I heard one of them yell, what about the guy at the top end? And like 4 people went, no. Thank you for that. You saved me.
No, we saved the frat boys.
Dude, that's too much even for me.
You know, it's always a concern when, especially if it's a starting out convention, when it's not a large convention, where other groups are in the hotel, like, oh, I don't know, Little Leaguers or something like that. Camera fingers. At a convention many years ago, it was one of their first years, They were sharing the hotel with a group of veterinarians and a group of military combat veterans. And there was a little bit of concern as to, a bunch of drunken Marines and furries. How's this gonna work? Well, during the day, the veterinary conference was on the basement level of the hotel. And I went downstairs myself. I thought it might be a little bit fun. I asked to speak to the organizer and I said, say, the next time you guys have a break, maybe it would be fun if some of our folk came down, just as a kind of lark, kind of lighten the mood a little bit. Just to say hi. And she said, we would rather you didn't. I said, oh, sure thing now, okay. And I went upstairs, so they don't seem to be open to the idea. But then that evening is when the Marines showed up. The Marines landed. Now I noticed the hotel had taken down all of the glass chandeliers and any glass light fixtures had been removed. I didn't think that was for us. And I was very, very nervous for the convention, not mine, but still for the fandom, because how is this going to turn out? This was many years ago, before everybody had a cell phone camera. I don't think anybody got a picture when the furry dance started. And the Marines found out there was a dance going on. Someone to this day treasures the memory of peeking into the dance and seeing a Marine colonel in full dress uniform wearing a tail dancing with the fursuits. So you can never predict which groups are going to mesh and which are not.
We had cheerleaders. Year one of First Square.
Nice.
There was a cheerleading competition, and we were sharing our hotel with a group of, it wasn't Little Leaguers, but some kind of a competition, a soccer troupe, and a cheerleaders that were going to state. Now, we were fairly open. Anyone who was at this hotel, we told them, you're welcome to join in any of the festivities, especially the parade. During the parade, a lot of them came up out of the woodwork, and that gave them the idea that they could just hang out in the con space and say hello to the furries, and it worked out very well. It honestly did, until I was standing in the hallway, and a young mother with her
which we mean a person with children.
Thank you. With her two youths.
Two what?
Youths.
By which
I don't
we mean
understand that
small
word.
children.
Small children.
Two youths.
Thank you. I understand now.
Two youths. Reached out and put her hand on the shoulders of both of her children. These children who had been wandering around, playing with fursuiters, having the time of their lives. But this wasn't the time for fursuiters. You see, at 9 o'clock at my convention in the basement, we start doing more adult programming. What these children had seen were leather doggies. They were on their way to the panel. Now, I don't mind that. They were not inappropriate. They simply had their gear on top of their clothing. But the mother's reaction, priceless. Grabbing both of her children by the shoulders, loudly and audibly stating, no, no, honey, don't pet those doggies, they're dirty. Now, a lesser man would take insult to that. We turned it into a panel. So if you were ever at First Square late night, our leather dog panel is called Don't Touch Those Doggies, They're Dirty.
Hey, Alkali.
Yes, my friend.
Were those just attendees?
That was my director of operations, my director of volunteers, and at the time what I would consider head of staff. So no, they weren't regular attendees, and I found it funny.
I will say, it's weird. I will obviously do the fursuiting thing, and it turned out to be decently common, at least at First Squared. The Local police are pretty integrated with our hotel. For many years, the night manager was a retired police officer, so they'd show up and hang out. They were really there to just watch the show. The night manager, he was one of the most laid-back people. He's like, there's really nothing you can do compared to the old-timey card players. They fight, they throw bottles. Y'all are weird, fine.
Y'all are weird.
Y'all are weird.
But he's fine with it, and he knows some of the people that are still active in the police department perhaps haven't seen as many strange things. So when a call happens at, 1 in the morning, he's all grins. Police officer in full gear shows up, it's like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And he goes, speak with this person. Now that person was a post-mistake. The charity Watch a Bad Movie with Drinking Rules panel.
Yep.
And we made a good amount. The parties kept going. Post-mistake.
Mistake is a perfect way
I had decided to dress down for the evening, silly thinking that I was done having to wear a responsibility hat. I was in a head-to-toe Spider-Man themed jumpsuit. I had an empty bottle of liquor on me that I was supposed to throw out, genuinely, but that's not what the police officer thought. And he thinks he's about to have to interrogate me or what have you for what's going on. He's like, oh no. And so then I start doing lay of the land of a situation. It wasn't a particularly nasty or important situation, but the look on his face when complete sentences started coming out of the Spider-Man pajamas wearing adult with an empty liquor bottle. The next year on a Thursday, they played water beer pong with us on the attendees on Thursday night. They learn. What's your favorite? So who here has been to Anthrocon? So if you haven't, the most magnificent thing from my perspective, I've been going for many years now, is the integration with the city of Pittsburgh. It's been a transformation that's been going and is one of the coolest things.
Absolutely.
So, and that's this guy's credit right here. It is one of the most unique cons. I love going. In general, about every year, a quarter of the population, it's their first time at a FurCon. Because it's the locals. It is awesome. We are on stage, we'll ask, is this your first time at a panel? They'll go, no, it's our first time at a FurCon. Awesome every time.
Seriously.
But that probably comes with some interesting intersections. Would you like to share the story about why you had to very carefully course correct a flag design?
Oh, great memory, dude.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Me too, I blocked it.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism the human psyche has. Okay, this was the first year we took the fursuit parade outside. I don't take credit for anything at Anthrocon, but that was my idea.
Yes, it was.
I pushed for it. The board of directors was very reluctant because they weren't sure if it would work. I didn't know if it was going to work, but I wanted to try it. So we had the fursuit parade go out, and we were afraid that we'd have all these fursuiters out there, and there'd be like two little old ladies and a blind guy waiting. But according to the city of Pittsburgh, 5,000 people were down there. Pretty close to the number of people we had at the con. Were there to see the fursuit parade. And the city of Pittsburgh had made up signs to give out to people, and they fortunately sent the design to me first. It was going to be a take on the I Love New York. It was going to be, I love furries, but instead of a heart, it was going to be a paw print. They said, what do you think of this? And I sent it back. I said, okay, nice idea on paper, but here's an idea. Let's put a heart, but put the paw inside the heart.
And why did you need to tell them to do that, Sam?
Well, they asked me that question. Why can't we just have a paw? And I said, because if you understand furry lingo, if you read that as I paw furries, let's just make it a heart with a paw in it, right? So I was, okay, anyway, 5,000 people waving these signs. It was great. Everyone was having a good time. And I think, were you standing with me, Alkali? We were down on the curb watching people come out of the convention center, which was the wrong place to be. Because I'm like, oh, this is so great, this is so great, this is so great. And then I saw the gentleman who had decided to incorporate the Confederate battle flag into the design of his fursuit. And I noticed all the cheering and happy noises faded as he went out among the crowd. I thought, oh crap. Which, the nice thing is, this took my mind off what came right ahead of him.
Which was?
Do you know what a Zentai suit is?
It's what Radical wears.
Well, yeah, it's okay. Some people wear it well. It's when it's spandex. This gentleman...
No outlines. It's really easy. No outlines.
This gentleman had an outline. As a matter of fact, this gentleman didn't just have an outline. This gentleman was pointing the way to true north. And I watched that. I was like, oh, God, no! And he went by, and the people in Pittsburgh, yay! And then the guy with the flag came by, and I said, oh, that's what we're done for. But
Wait, so which one was it half-mast?
He would...
Oh my God.
No murdering the con chairs. You can kill them at your con.
I will.
Your insurance is better than ours.
Yes, it is. And my city knows where I keep the bodies.
Yeah, the Allegheny. We need to talk to you about that. It's overflowing. Stop storing your...
It's being dredged.
Stop storing corpses in your river!
It's being dredged. We're going to float them downstream. It'll be the Mississippi's problem.
Oh my God.
The Ohio's.
Anyway.
Let's jump over to our con chair. You know, we had this topic earlier, but I know for a fact you have a story on it. Kitten, Nikki, Milady, would you tell us about a water feature?
I'd love to.
I would love you to as well.
So, this is at the last hotel, the Sheridan. What year? 2011? 2012?
It would have been 13, I believe.
2013.
Second year there.
Oh yeah, it was my first year. Yeah. So in 2013, in operations, they noticed a little trickle just from the ceiling.
Yeah, this is
No big deal, a little odd, but not an emergency. Deal with it later. And then the next morning, Tanya comes and she's talking with the board at the time. She goes, so did you guys enjoy the waterfall last night? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Just a drip of water.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't been in there. So they walk into ops, and apparently throughout the night, someone had enjoyed themselves too much and fell asleep on their bed. But before they went to bed, they decided to turn on the tub.
Yep.
And then leave it on.
Yep.
So, overnight, the busy hotel workers noticed the drip and went from operations to the first floor.
Second.
No, second floor? Oh yeah,
Third,
because it was on
third, because we were on the
that was on the second floor,
We
yeah.
went to third.
So they went to the third floor. First, yeah. And then up to the fourth floor, and still saw dripping. And went up to the fifth floor, and found the cause of all of the dripping. That eventually turned into several panels of ceiling tile all over operations.
Now, we've all been part of a convention when we lost equipment. MCFC, having one of the greatest, MCFC had a gate over registration. An actual, a door that went up and down that crushed 3 laptops in front of the director of registration. Bam! He goes, we're not opening on time. I've been part of conventions where police have shown up for no reason. I've been part of conventions where things were going on that have no control, but I had never walked into operations to see a flowing turret into a large garbage bin with all of our soaking wet equipment put up against a wall, and the director of the hotel going, I hope you enjoy the new water feature.
Excuse me, me,
I miss Tanya.
I do too.
what did you do to the person who had the hotel room?
That's the best part. Nikki, would you like to tell Kage who was in control of the hotel room above registration 3 floors up?
Not one of us.
Not in the 10 years.
Not a furry.
Oh, thank God. Not our problem.
Here's the thing, if you guys were here a few years ago, you'll notice that we ended closing ceremonies with a particular song, and that song came about because it was the hotel's fault that the fire alarm went off. We didn't start the fire!
Okay, so one of the things we opened this panel on was the convention, your convention chair fingers. What are each of yours that are the not my con, not my problem exuberant fingers? Mine is this. Oh, tell me more.
Mine is a hashtag.
Stop tweeting about my con.
It is first grade.
I know.
First time I went to First Square and I got there and I got settled in and then I went to operations. I was like, all right, what do you guys need help with? And he's standing there, he goes, no! He turns to his director of operations and says, she's not allowed to work here. You are not allowed to do anything. She is not doing anything here. Go away! All right.
I'm sorry, you are not allowed to tell the part of the story where I was magnanimous without telling 2 days later when I am crying in her shoulder, I need your help!
And then I answer with, not my code.
There you go.
Did you think about the advice I had given you at that point?
Okay, I think of the advice you give me exactly once a year while I'm at First Square.
I'm going to tell something that's not a con horror story, it's more a personal horror story that happened at a con
Absolutely.
a week ago.
Oh, God.
Your Reference, Berlin.
Oh.
I had invited the Japanese contingent to join me in my room because they had all brought along exquisite bottles of sake from Japan. There were about 6 of us. Ronnie was there too. And, bless you.
Excuse me.
The Japanese are a very reserved and civilized people. So we were having, you could almost hear the koto in the background. It was like, you're watching a chapter out of Shogun. I'm sitting there because I'm the older man, and they're pouring for me. Itadakimasu. And we're testing the sake, and they're all, oh, very nice, and we're all very quiet. Arigatou gozaimashita. You know, and this gentleman is, no, gatsudeshita. Very, very quiet, civilized, very, very mature, and then suddenly, at my door, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Sorry. And I opened the door, and in burst my little old mother with 12 Norwegians carrying every kind of grog you could imagine. They descended on my civilized little sake party and turned it into a Calcutta slum. It was a bacchanal like you would not believe. I never got to finish my sake. They were pouring sake into stroopwafel liqueur.
Did they have insulin on hand?
I'm so sorry. Kage is very good at running those parties. I was invited to one recently at a convention. Told me alkali, and then a bunch of nonsense, and then come upstairs. We were drunk. I came upstairs to encounter a sake party. Now, if you don't know, in the Japanese culture, the first thing you do when meeting new people is share business cards. Yes. Which I also forgot to bring again. Well, they all had business cards for me, and I had nothing for them, but that would be rude. I also have 8 pockets in this coat. I believe, if I remember correctly, I signed my name and gave them my business cards, which included a small bottle of tequila, 2 decks of cards, 1 rubber band, unused Kleenex. I want to strut. It was unused. I just had it folded up in my pocket. And the creme de la creme, somebody else's programming guide that they had left notes in that I signed and gave over to the Japanese. So I had business cards, and now they all have like gifts.
I discovered too that again, the Japanese are very reserved, very professional, very quiet people until they have sake. What you basically say when you pour sake is kanpai, and with the first bottle it's kanpai, and with the second bottle everyone raises kanpai, and the third, fourth, and fifth bottles it's some variation of kanpai.
We're not allowed to say the variation.
Well, I learned after about the seventh bottle, it becomes and I asked them if that means anything in Japanese. They said, no, it just means That's my favorite part. But we hadn't gotten to that part before the Vikings came in.
Gentlemen, this is Convention Horror Stories. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Convention... Ladies, gentlemen, and other, this is Convention Horror Stories. I'm very bad at that. Thank you for correcting me. No, I know. I am very aware that I am bad at that. Ladies and gentlemen, and other, this is Convention Horror Stories. We're not going to end quite yet because if you were at opening ceremonies, if you're at First FurCon, you know that there's a rule. If you can give, and if you can't, don't worry about it. We're furs, we got it covered. We're going to tell you one more story. Who here is this their first Convention Horror Stories? Raise your hand.
Wow.
Oh, not many. All right, then I'm going to give you a choice. I could tell you guys the oatmeal story.
Oatmeal.
Okay, that sounds like a yes. Or there is, and I'm having trouble remembering the other Convention Horror Story. Oh my God, why can't I remember this? Oh, there is also the waffle story.
Waffle.
AKA butter situation.
Butter situation.
Butter situation.
Butter situation.
All right, guys. What just happened? What's on the screen? Dragor, describe it in detail.
In English, please.
All part, but with Kage's face and lots of alcohol.
They committed a sin. You're carrying bottles of red wine.
Oh, dear God.
You're fired.
So, because my hat is being used for an ice receptacle right now, we're just going to start the story. Guys, if you can give, if you can't, don't worry about it. We're furries. Don't forget what we're doing this weekend. This is the same charity that we had last year. You have no idea the overhead. These are exotic animals. If you haven't met them yet, go over there, say hello to the charity. They're a wonderful group of people. If you'd like to make a donation, the front of the stage is fine. And while you are doing that, I guess it's time for the butter situation.
Alkali.
Yes, my friend.
Why can't we have both?
Because there's not enough time. However, if you want to hear the other story, don't worry, I'll get drunk and tell it in the hallway. So, I've been part of multiple conventions in my time, and one of those conventions is the unbelievably well-attended and fun convention, Midwest Fur Fest. Anytime you get to that size, as this gentleman over here knows, you start dealing with new problems. And this problem became, thank you so much, my dear. This problem became all about,
come on, people,
their super sponsor breakfast. Because an attendee sent mail. Snail mail, the stuff that we get when we think somebody is sending us anthrax. This person sent the hotel snail mail, and during a meeting with the Midwest Fur Fest Board of Directors, thank you, we got to experience this particular correspondence. Thank you. The lead of the hotel had us all sitting down and goes, gentlemen, before we end this meeting, there's something I need to talk to you about, and it is this letter, and slid it across the table to, I believe, Woody. Yes, correct. Very slowly. We opened it up, and here's what was inside. Dear Sir, Madam, or to whom it may concern. Recently, I attended an event at your glorious and scrumptious hotel. I don't understand scrumptious, thank you. And I was was a miss. Oh my. We definitely need to continue reading this dissertation. For I attended the super sponsor brunch. Nay, I was privileged enough to be offered a guest spot at your super sponsor brunch. He has no idea how to use punctuation. And what I saw there left me mortified. For when I went to your waffle making station, in parentheses, note, located to the right of your omelet making station, because we didn't know where, that was a really needed piece of information. Mentally, where were the waffles? As I approach and made myself a glorious, perfectly cooked waffle, I reached to my right, and what did I find there? Syrup. Syrup, I say, with many exclamation points. If you, good kind sir, madam, or whom it may concern, had made yourself a waffle, what would be the first implement you would put on it? That would be butter. The order of operations for waffles is butter, syrup, possibly a fruit topping. Thank you very much. It went on like this for paragraphs, describing how one makes a waffle. And we thought it was the funniest fucking thing we had ever encountered. Sorry about the swear. Well, it finished off with many unkind words which do not actually add to the story, because what I want to tell you this for is this, and this is why. Something that Kitten has helped me get to know over the years, something that Kage lives by. Be kind to your hotel, for your hotel is king, and if they hate you, you're gone. But if they like you, you get to screw with the head chef. The entire board of directors of MFF and the owners of the hotel, all in business suits, marched downstairs into the doldrum of the hotel to meet his name, Chef. That's all you needed to call the gentleman, was Chef. And as approaching, handed him the envelope and said, "Sir, we need to talk to you about something." He opened the envelope, looked, and went, in all seriousness, thinking that this was about to be a problem, said, yes, the butter situation. We went down there to screw with them and couldn't keep a straight face. All of us lost our minds. To which we replied, "Oh, thank God, I was hoping you weren't serious."
There is a small coda to that
Yes,
story.
there is.
Just a very small coda. Alkali's been telling that story for a while, and about 2 or 3 years ago I said, "Alkali, who sent that letter?" And as a consummate professional, he said, "Well, it was, an attendee." And I said, "Was it?" And I gave him a name, and he said, because yes, I knew exactly who sent it just by the description.
This isn't the only letter.
Conchairs talk, you see. This was the same fellow that apparently didn't like something I said at one of my auctions and penned a very angry 4-page letter on yellow-lined paper and sent it to my mother, instructing her to berate me.
They get points for ingenuity on that one.
Totally. However, that means they've never met Kage's mother.
She came to me with this thing and said, "Who's this asshole?"
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Convention War Stories one more time. Your convention chairman, Mickey! Post-con chairman, Lord Bandez! Con-chairman of First Square, Trevor! Con-chairman of Anthrocon, Uncle Kage!
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
just learned that word.
Silver Gatoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gatoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gatoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.